today's live stream. Today we have Duncan Ogilvie, creator of x64dbg and many other projects, joining the stream. So he'll be with us in just a minute or two, talking about the latest features in x64debug. We'll have some demos. It looks like we have some demos queued up to show, not only tell you about those features, but to show those features to you. So if you have questions, this is the place for it. Please bring those questions and make sure to kind of thread those in as we go. Again, welcome to the stream here. Before Duncan comes on, just a couple of things I wanted to point out. First, let's see. I got to share the right tab. I guess I have to like switch it. That kind of sucks. Let's try that again. Ooh, all right. So first things first, all I wanted to show you was upcoming streams. I guess that was a little more painful than I was expecting. And you'll see Peter Manev is joining us on Tuesday talking about Suricata 8, next generation of threat detection with Suricata. Take a look at the description there if you're interested, because there's hundreds of new keywords in the rule syntax and just continuing growth in the capabilities that Suricata provides. Actually spent a couple weekends ago at Black Hat and have a story. We were talking about threat detection and what role does the network still play? And I get a lot of colleagues that just sort of kind of hand wave it and dismiss it and say, oh, it doesn't really play a role because everything's TLS. But oddly enough, we had someone from the NOC at Black Hat that identified an infected system that was not meant to be infected with an info stealer, and it was a Mac system, and the detection originated from the beaconing activity. So it was kind of neat. So anyways, that's the next live stream. And the other thing that I wanted to share with you, I can kind of do this simultaneously then as Duncan comes on. So Duncan, if you're ready, I'm going to flip the switch here.
As ready as I can be, I suppose.
Okay, well, welcome to the stream. I was just going to say, as part of your introduction. So first, thanks for joining. It's great that you're here. I guess I'll just do the whole screen shift thing. Sorry about this. I thought I had a smoother thing than this, but anyways, Duncan is the creator of x64. For those that know, and maybe for those that don't, x64 is where did my screen go? There we go. So what I wanted to share, so x64, really popular debugger. I guess if you're still using Ollie debug, and it's funny that you'll still see that in malware checking for anti-analysis, then you're probably wrong. It's time to move on to a modern debugger. I wanted to show on the podcast, so Behind the Binary podcast is also an effort that I have. Duncan joined for episode 6, so it's already out there. If you're interested in a little bit more of the history of where x64 came from, why he started creating it, especially at a relatively young age, how piano tuning was involved, check out the podcast. Yeah, with that, Duncan, welcome. Yeah, sorry, man, I am just killing it today. So welcome. I dropped you and not the screen. Hey, it's my first live stream. Welcome, everyone.
There's always issues at the beginning. I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah, thanks for joining. So we're just talking before the actual live stream today, just about maybe just chatting a little bit before, just to give folks time to come in. And one of the topics that has been kind of near and dear to my heart lately has been time travel.
Oh, you cut out, I think. Yeah, it's also quiet for me. Sometimes we have to switch with our foot. Yeah, this platform is a bit of a struggle, I think. We've been fighting with it. At first, it took my OBS camera as the camera. I don't know, we were going to talk about time travel debugging together, but I guess if it's just me alone, it's going to be a bit boring. So yeah. Yeah, I can try to attach x64 debug to Chrome. A Dutch joke. I think the Dutch jokes are extremely inappropriate, so I think that's it's not going to work. Oh, he's going to drop out and see what happens. We'll see. Nothing happens yet. Oh, now it's just me. Damn, it feels interesting if you're just talking alone and there's no one. It's always a bit of a struggle. Oh, you're back.
Can you hear me though?
Yes.
You can. Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, this has been quite epic. I apologize for the troubles here. Not run into this level of difficulty before. What I was saying was I just got a bunch of notifications that all of my audio disconnected, and apparently it was a pretty hard disconnect. So I'm glad. Also, do it live, I guess. So I wasn't sure what would happen when I would leave the session, if it would keep it going or drop it. So yeah, thanks everyone for bearing with me. I guess that's the great thing about live streams is you just never know what you're going to get. Next, I need my kids to crash into the room, or a school bus to plow through the window here. That actually happened to me. A bus hit his house. It was
crazy.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah, we were just going to talk a little bit about time travel debugging, which is kind of to me, it's an interesting topic because it's not new technology. It's been, in fact, someone mentioned to me that GDB has this capability, and I said, oh yeah, since when? I'm not an avid GDB user, and I looked it up, and if Gemini's correct, it was 2009 that some form of it got introduced. I think the earliest mentions with Microsoft, and that's the one that I use, the Microsoft WinDebug implementation, was mid 2000 teens, 2015, 16-ish. So
yeah,
it's been 10 years. So, but I'm finding it incredibly useful. I guess that's the point, is that while it doesn't work in all situations, particularly dealing with malware and layers of obfuscation, it can be incredibly time saving, because it can help to not only cut through some of that obfuscation, but then also just the ability of not having to go back and restart debug sessions all the time. So actually did a workshop at DEF CON this year around time travel debugging. So we're trying to put together some content around not only just the basics, but how to use it for practical triage and kind of malware analysis. So
yeah, I actually, maybe ashamed to admit, but I also use it to debug x64 debug. There were some very tricky issues with multiple threads and stepping, and it would somehow lose control. And I actually used WinDebug with time travel debugging to figure out the issue. It was a huge pain because the WinDebug commands, I wanted to do a breakpoint with some logging, and it was a huge pain. But once I got it working, I was able to step back and then figure out, okay, it's the reason. That's the reason. So yeah, it's great. Great technology, I think. Definitely for debugging, but I think also for malware. I think now there has been some movement. I think Binary Ninja integrated it recently, right? Do I remember that right?
Yeah. In fact, it's coming up on the live stream. One of the developers at Vector 35 in a couple of weeks. I don't have everything completely nailed down yet, so I don't have the stream scheduled or anything. But he's going to come on. We're going to talk about WinDebug integration. Maybe a little bit. We'll likely talk about TTD, but he's been primarily responsible for the debugger development and most recently the TTD integration, which seems to be pretty good. I know IDA now has TTD integration as well. You can choose the trace file as your debug source, and I'm having a little bit of trouble with it. But I still find though that, and maybe this is where the Binary Ninja implementation will shine. You want to be able to interact directly with WinDebug to get all of the WinDebug commands to integrate and query the data model. That's going to be one of your major powerful features. So if WinDebug and Binary Ninja exposes that whole command interface, I think that could be a huge win for that implementation.
Yeah. I think there's also a free course now on open security training. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I am. Definitely.
But there was, I don't know if it was a beta course. I don't know if it actually went live, but there is a course on debugging with Binary Ninja, and that, well, it also uses WinDebug on the background. But yeah,
okay.
Yeah, just the unfortunate thing about the WinDebug, well, the time travel debugging part specifically is that you cannot like directly use the interface. So you can use like the debug engine, like the official COM interface from Microsoft, but the actual time travel debugging interface is undocumented.
Yeah.
So there has been some, I think Airbus released like a reverse engineering of it, and you can use it, but it's just kind of a pain, to be honest, to consume it as a client, let's say, let alone recording. I have no idea how you set that up. But yeah,
I've been curious about that. I know Airbus has a couple of projects. They worked on the first like IDA integration, which I don't know if that led to IDA's formal adoption. They have a TTD Yara integration, which makes a lot of sense. But knowing some friends that either work for Airbus or know folks that work at Airbus, they say it's because there's no documentation, no public documentation. It's hard, and it's subject to the whims and fancies of the Microsoft devs. So you're just never sure exactly if things are going to change. And I don't know, maybe it's been really stable.
I think so, because they version the interfaces. So you have like a UUID that you get that interface, and I think that is kind of stable. But also one issue is that there's actual DRM on the interface. So to instantiate the interface, you have to like do a challenge response with the license that says, you cannot be doing this if you're not Microsoft. Basically, so they have some kind of DRM in there that you cannot use. It's quite interesting. I looked at it a few years ago.
Yeah, that is interesting. I had no idea. I haven't. I've only used it through WinDebug and kind of, I guess, the proper
I guess
Microsoft channels, of how to work with it. But it seems really promising. And so I guess if anybody's on the channel here is not on the stream, has not used it, definitely check it out. A lot of great resources out there. But the audio drop completely threw me off, so I haven't been looking at any of the chat. I should probably get caught up with that. This is definitely more chatter than I'm used to. Maybe that's the other thing. So thanks everyone for joining and bringing questions and anything else. A lot of messages about the lost audio. Thanks for letting me know.
There was a question from Digital Deductions. Do you play CTFs? I'm actually curious. Do you play them at DEF CON or whatever? Do you take part in the CTFs, or is it not anymore?
I never really got into. So it looks like here's the question. I never really played a lot. Flare on. Well, it's funny. When I was teaching full time, I think the first real CTF I tried to use as a learning tool was the Flare on challenge years ago, and I got so far, but I just usually run out of the time to commit to the challenges. Skills certainly are an issue at times too. I use CTFs a lot when I was teaching, though. A lot of my finals in like a reverse engineering course or malware analysis course would be a CTF. I went so far as to work with some students. We developed, this is years ago now, but we developed a CTF framework because I wanted it to be more educational. So I wanted to have like a hint system that students could purchase a hint at the cost of their grade, but then you don't get stuck, with Flare on. As an example, because that's just a linear solve the challenge, get the next one. If you get stuck, then you're just stuck, and the learning kind of ends with that if you're not able to get yourself unstuck. So we actually developed, I think it's probably still out on GitHub, but it's using some old PHP frameworks and everything. I use them quite a bit. Flare on is going to start September 26th. I know hopefully this is the crowd for Flare on. So if you're excited about that, Flare on, it's going to be Flare on 12 this year. How about you?
So when it comes to CTFs, I used to play, a few years ago with friends. I also went to a few like in-person events and just joined some random teams, kind of see what's possible to join. But honestly, like the CTFs, like the hardcore ones are like 48 hours straight at the weekends, right? So you're not sleeping pretty much, or very little.
Right. Yeah.
So I find it really fun. Sometimes it depends a lot on the CTF as well, right? If the challenges are they can be very bad, like some brute forcing, or just sometimes they're broken. Very often, actually, they're broken.
Oh, yeah.
So the author didn't really try it, right? And then it's kind of like, is this because we are doing it wrong, or because the challenges broken? That's also part of it. But it can be really fun, especially with friends. Nowadays, I cannot do it anymore. I mean, on Monday, you have to go back to work. After a whole weekend of sitting at the computer, without break, that's like, I don't know. I think yeah, not anymore.
Yeah, I think that we had kids when my wife and I first started having kids. That changed things.
Yeah, I can
Not that I
imagine.
was big into CTFs that many years ago, but it certainly is. Yeah, I try to spend healthy time away from the keyboard on a bike or in the mountains or whatever. Let's see some more comments here. It's the Duncan show. Yeah, it could have been the Duncan show. You could have just ran with it and booted me from the stream
I
altogether.
was not prepared.
Done whatever you wanted. Duchies are inappropriate in every form from your favorite Belgian. Dutch are also tall. I had a training with some Dutches, some people from the Netherlands, and I'm not usually out-heighted. I'm not extremely tall, but I'm above average. And this person walked in, I think said it was 6'9". I'm like 6'5". So like,
Yes.
Something I notice whenever I go to the Netherlands.
I actually don't know what I am in feet, right? Yeah,
I
okay, 6'9" is extremely tall. That's like what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 6'2", so it's kind of.
Oh yeah, see.
Okay, 6'9" is what? Oh, that's very tall. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was an exceptional case, but usually people are very tall. That's true.
Yeah. Will the recording be available? Yes, recordings will be available. I don't know what happens to these things once they go off on LinkedIn and X, but it'll be on the YouTube channel. So, yeah, we're back. All right. Well, let's. I think, if you're interested in time travel debug, certainly leave some comments. I'm happy to point you to some resources. There's a lot of great stuff out there. And the team at Google here, Flare, we're working on getting some content out as well. I guess check it out. I don't know, Duncan, you want to start talking x64?
Yeah, I guess so. So now you can, I guess, share my screen, right?
I look like Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is a South Dakotan. He doesn't live too far from here. I didn't make it in the WWE though, so unfortunately, I get that a little bit, and I also sometimes I get confused with the chef guy, Bobby Flay. I tried to get an upgrade one time. I said, "You look the flight attendant, so you kind of like Bobby Flay." Like I am. Can I sit in first class? It didn't work though.
That's too bad.
6'2" is Oompa Loompa. Okay. All right. So I probably need to share your screen, huh?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be awesome. All right. So here we are. Show is yours. Take over.
Yes.
I've done enough damage. I should probably just step away for the rest of the stream.
No, I think it's good if you have some questions in between or whatever. It's fire away. It's always easier to chat than to just me talking for whatever 40 minutes. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of do this kind of stream where we talk about the latest updates of x64 debug. So I think not the previous, but the 2 releases ago, the last one was in March. So that's been like 5 months or so. I think it was 3-4 months. I think for a while there was no release at all, which is not super unusual. But this time I think it was a bit unusual in the way that a lot of stuff happened behind the scenes. So I kind of wanted to go over some of that stuff, and yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it'll be interesting for people.
Yeah, didn't I see that you revamped the build system too?
Yes. I did. I don't know if I put a note here, but yeah. So basically, that was the big thing that we moved from Visual Studio 2013, believe it or not. So it's like more than 10 years old. I think it released in 2012 somewhere. So yeah, you can do the math. We moved from that to like modern Visual Studio 2022 with CMake. So basically, that was kind of one of the big things. And obviously, for the end user, this is an extremely boring change, right? In fact, it's quite negative, I would say, because everything crashed. Everything was broken. Even though I tried my best for months to test it and to make sure it worked, in the end, there's also a note here on the older release that, it just crashed. There was a false positive with Windows Defender because the code signing was broken. All kinds of stuff was not working because of this upgrade. But obviously, the reason we want to do this is that people cannot install Visual Studio 2013 anymore. There was a bunch of dependencies you had to manually copy and all of that. So basically, the idea is now that you just install Visual Studio and you open the repository and you build the project, and then it works. That's like the kind of the big update, let's say. which, well, is useful for new developers. So that's one of the things that we want to also have more developers. So yeah, if anyone is interested in actually contributing, like time travel debugging support, has been something that's been on my to-do list for years, but I don't have, it's not the priority, let's say. So yeah, if someone is interested, then this is the time, I guess, because it's the easiest ever to contribute. And also, I think in those few months, there have been a lot of contributors,
awesome.
much more than usual. So yeah, that's great.
If there's anyone that is interested in contributing, do you have like issues, like a way to identify those, like good first issue?
Yeah, there is on the repository. There is a good first issue thing, I assume. What was it called? Yeah, good first issue. There's that.
First issue. Okay. Cool.
And also, I mean, for me personally, how I contribute to open source is that I use the tool, right? And then I see something is broken or something doesn't work quite how I like. So those are the best kind of contributions, right? Mm-hmm. If you see something that's just done weirdly, there's so much code, so it's like a lot of broken stuff as well, right? So if you see something, then just fix it, right? That's kind of the idea. And if you want to contribute, you can open a discussion also, or you can join on the Discord. And there's a development channel where you can ask questions about how to, I don't know, set up your environment or all of that. So yeah, that's kind of that's why it took so long to do a new update. And then there was also a bunch of changes that are kind of nice, and I want to go over kind of the big ones, and then after that I'll have some demos.
And just in case nobody knows, it's you driving this project for many years, and then the contributors that come and go, and there's no major backing from Microsoft or Google or anything, right?
No. So there's a sponsorship programs. That's my GitHub sponsors, and there is like a lot of kind of people who are contributing like amount, small or bigger, every month. And yeah, I use that money mostly to basically fund, servers, kind of all that kind of stuff, like overhead, domain has to be paid, Cloudflare has to be paid, like a bunch of stuff like that.
Sure.
So yeah, that's kind of and the rest, it's like all done in my free time. I'm like doing all the maintenance, let's say. And then there are a few like kind of consistent contributors, different people that just come and go, and then there's a lot, like you mentioned, like a lot of drive-by, let's say, people who fix one issue and then they move on. So yeah, the idea is that, it would be nice if there are basically more consistent contributors, but
yeah,
because no one is getting paid, so that's I understand that this is not always possible. But if you're interested, it's it might seem intimidating, but the code is it's written by a younger version of me. So, you can do it too, basically. That's the idea.
Question from YouTube here. I think we're going to get to it though as you get into as I finally let you get into the release and the features. But as an IDA user, mostly ARM, does x64 have a decompiler? And if not, does this type system analysis just the plain assembly and not an IR for load with offsets for marking struct? So I think, does it have a decompiler? No, I don't believe so. And I guess we'll talk about the type system here in just a few minutes, I imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah, so when it comes to decompiler, like x64dbg is meant as a like dynamic analysis tool. So you're kind of meant to use it alongside IDA or Ghidra or Binary Ninja, whatever you fancy. There is one plugin that has a decompiler that's called Snowman, but it's super outdated, and it's kind of, a cool project, let's say, but not practically useful, right?
Okay. I've never used it, so.
Yeah, no, it used to be integrated into the debugger itself, but at some point I moved it to a plugin. That being said, it is possible to make a plugin that is a decompiler. So, for example, the Ghidra decompiler is open source, so it could be integrated in theory, but I think that there are already static analysis tools out there, right? So it doesn't make much sense, in my opinion, to have also like a decompiler inside and then add that maintenance burden as well, right? That's kind of, I don't know, I think it's out of scope.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense to me.
Little snowman, yeah. Everyone loves snow. I think on the reverse engineering Discord, the snowman emoji is like an emoji crying blood. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of, well, now you mentioned the type system. That's kind of the big second update. So this type system already existed since 2016, 2017. There was like the first version. But kind of the pain point always was that you can you can parse some C headers, but they are kind of, not really C. It was just like hacked together essentially. And actually, this guy called Snow, unrelated to Snowman in this case.
I was gonna say, what are the odds?
Yeah, he's a good friend. He made this plugin called Many Types, which essentially integrates libclang, and then you can parse actual C and C++, I think, or that's coming headers, and then you can visualize those types inside of x64 debug. So he made this plugin, and as part of that, he also fixed the existing type system because a bunch of like bit fields were not supported and all of that kind of stuff. So he improved that like a lot, and that's kind of the big feature. And then on top of that, I also did a lot of like GUI work and performance improvements on that. So it should be much nicer to use, and I hope that actually people will use it as well. So yeah, because that was the thing with the old system, like no one used it, so no one filed any bugs, so it wasn't getting improved. And for me, it was good enough for what I needed.
Sure.
That's always how it is. So I hope this, I also tried to do a bit more advertisement with this. That's why also, part of this, why we're doing the stream, right, to kind of show that, hey, this exists. So yeah, and well, I can show the video, but I will show it live later. So let's see. I discussed the code modernization. And then there's also been like a bunch of changes related to the scripting, which is another feature that Sergey especially loves. It's like you can kind of do some unpacking automation. That's what it was for. It was based on this very old plugin called only debug script, which was extremely useful, obviously. But yeah, it was kind of broken. So that has been like also rewritten. So it should be more stable now, and I have another example of that.
Okay.
And then there is the basically cross-platform part. So before everyone gets all excited, there will be no x64 debug for Linux or Mac. I just want to get that out. But I wanted to basically, like, this is my project that I've been started like 2 years ago, that I've been doing when I go travel and I don't have internet on the plane. So then I was doing this kind of boring work, let's say. And here's like a screenshot of it, and I can also show a demo later. But this is like the x64 debug widgets running on macOS. So yeah, it runs also on Linux and on Windows, obviously. So I have a few tools that I can just showcase that are kind of my test bed. And like this is also the idea is eventually that this will grow into like a reusable library of the x64 debug widgets. So the disassembly and struct views and stuff like that.
Okay.
So then hopefully other people can build tools on top of it. Right now it's not really ready for that. It's been merged into the main branch, so you can play with it if you like. But it's very hacky the way I put it together, just because it's like a proof of concept.
Sure. Okay.
But yeah, this was like a discussion that started, I don't know, it's been like maybe 8 years ago or 5 years ago, with a friend who was a maintainer for Qatar. I don't know if you're aware of this project, but he wanted to use the x64 debug graph widget. So then I copy pasted the code in there, but now they changed it a bunch. I want to port those changes back. So it would be nice if there was already like a shared library of this kind of widgets that are useful for reverse engineering. And it's all Qt in this case. So yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Useful.
Question: does it pre-process templates?
Well, the templates are not getting pre-processed, but yes, they are, because it uses libclang under the hood. So that's in reference to this Many Types plugin. So yeah, I don't have an example with templates, but I believe the templates are supported because it uses libclang, and that can parse C++20 basically fully correctly, right? So you can do any C or C++ types. I believe there was an issue with C++, like inheritance types, that was not working at first, but I'm not sure that's
okay.
I didn't prepare a demo for that. But I think it can work in principle. It just maybe there was a little bug with the implementation.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. And do you get a lot of D2K2 says they use x64 for 99% of their static analysis.
Yes, that's nice to hear. I actually do the same, kind of. I very often just load the executable, and then I just browse the code, and I use because I think it's quick, right? For me, I obviously like using IDA, but there is this kind of barrier where you have to like create this database, you have to wait for your analysis, that kind of thing. And it can be very nice just open the executable, take a quick look, maybe step around a bit, maybe assemble some instructions and run them to see what's happening, and then you close it again. It's a kind of a low commitment thing.
Makes sense to me.
It's nice to hear I'm not the only one. Obviously, when I'm doing some more serious reversing, then I reach for the IDA decompiler, right? But for some quick stuff.
Gotta have that easy button ready to roll.
Right. Any other questions?
No, I mean, I'm sure I missed something, but I think we're looking pretty good.
Yeah, they can always ask it again if it's important, right?
Yeah, right. So I guess if I miss anything, please don't hesitate to prompt me again through the chat or any other way of getting a hold of us here. Like I've got Discord open and LinkedIn open and a few other things.
Yeah, and also Matt says, hi Matt, by the way. He's a good friend of mine. He says experimental static mode, and actually there is some kind of static mode in x64 debug. Which is completely undocumented, but you can change some setting in the config. Maybe I can just do it real quick. Why not? Now that we're here. That's the wrong INI file. This one. Yeah, so you can set this debug engine to 2, which is like not documented. And by the way, this will break all x64 debug functionality. Like it will just stay. So yeah, and then what you can do is you can say open notepad. Hello world, and you can kind of attach, and then you can attach to notepad, but this actually doesn't attach any debugger. It just uses like the read process memory and like those APIs. But you can use you can basically browse the process, so you can see the memory map. Maybe I can do a little search for, probably it's stored in Unicode, right? For hello. I have no idea if this will work. And here you can see hello world, right? So I don't know which one is the buffer, but
that's cool. Yeah, I didn't know.
So but this is something that it's just a test. Again, one of those proof of concepts, someone asked it, and I was like, we'll take a look, and it works by basically replacing the debug engine DLL with something else. And this would also be like my idea was also to do this with time travel debugging. So that you kind of have this fake debug engine that then calls into the time travel debugging stuff. So that, because the source code of x64 debug is not really designed for this with different engines and stuff. It's like all very, straight written. There's no like abstractions and stuff. So but I don't know. You can try that.
Yeah, looks like you're blowing some minds with the static support. So awesome.
Wow, this is what I need. Yeah, and it could get a UI option. I didn't try it myself. It needs to be tested, and then if we can make it like an official feature, let's say. But it is in the release build, so you can use this on your build without any custom options or anything.
Cool. Yeah, very cool.
Right. So now we will do the demo with the many types plugin. I guess the easiest demo to do is, I just loaded like an example process, and then you can, you need to install the plugin. So plugins, here there is many types plugin. So you need to install that. I already did that. I'm not going to download again and copy it because it's working. But this should be easy to figure out. If you cannot figure this out, you should not be using this tool, to be honest. And then you have that installed, and it should show you something like updated JSON database. Is this readable, by the way, or should I close?
You can always go a little bit, increase the font size a little bit. It's not bad, but
I think I added the streamer mode feature, especially for Surrey. If you use Control and then a mouse wheel, then you can zoom the font.
Yes, okay.
Almost everywhere. Anyway, it should say many types updated JSON database. That's kind of the signal. So how it works internally is that the many types plugin parses the types, and then it generates a JSON file, and that JSON file gets loaded by x64 debug. And this way, there's no dependency on like LLVM, for example, inside of x64 debug, because that would be like 100 megabytes of DLL. That it's a bit much, basically. So that's how it works. And this many types plugin automatically updates those types when you modify them. But I'll show that. Okay. And then you can go to in the bottom here to the struct tab. I cannot change the font for that, but you have to believe me. And then you right click and you do display type. And then you get here the view on the left with the type. So for example, like the easiest example is this k-user share data, right? So that's the data structure that the kernel maintains for user mode processes to see like the time and stuff like that. So you can select that, and then you can enter the address for it. So you can use this k-user share data function to get that address. And when you press OK, it will pin it, it will save it in the struct view. And then you can browse it, I guess, similar to WinDebug, I guess. I don't know, I used this DT command in WinDebug, so it kind of shows you like the tree of the of the type, right?
Yep. Yeah. It looks very similar. Yep.
So yeah, and this supports basically everything. So bit fields, enums, and those are the most painful things that I remember not implementing before. But yeah, it supports those. So for example, here's an enum underscore nt or nt underscore product type, right? And then you can see on the right in the value column that it symbolizes that to nt product Windows nt. Yeah. That's pretty useful. And it does the same for, I think, bit flags. So if there are multiple bits set in the enum, like it has some kind of heuristic to detect that this is probably a bit flag, then it will show you or this or this. And I don't know if there's an example of that. I don't know if Snow is watching, but he knows the example. I don't remember which function has that. Let's see. Well,
I don't know.
So yeah, anyway, here you can see the k-user data. So there's no kernel debugger, and here's a bit field of like the mitigation policies. So you can see there that the NX, whatever, you can see the values of that, right? So yeah, that's kind of the most basic example. And so this supports all of Windows.h. So I think the default thing that is there is Windows.h plus PHNT. So you get also the undocumented type. So that's kind of the default what you get. And that's enough for most things, I suppose.
Yeah. I would think so.
So yeah, for example, the TEB you can also do.
Yep.
So yeah, you press OK on that. Yeah, and then you can just look at the PEB, right? So that's a pointer inside of the tab to the PEB. And then here you can see the image options and then the loader data, right? For example, which should have somewhere the current directory right here. So you can see the current directory buffer. And then on the right, you see, okay, C code blocks types example build. So that's like that's pretty useful when you just want to see what's going on. And then another thing is that here you also see like it creates like temporary labels where it shows you this address is actually you're displaying that type right now at this address. So apparently this is the PEB inherited address space. I had no idea, but the more you learn, it's somewhere on the stack. So it kind of tries to give you some hints as to what's going on. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, very cool. And easy to import custom headers and stuff?
Yes. So the many types, how it works is that it creates for every project that you have, it creates it creates a folder. So you have a global.h. Let's see, I can open that real quick. So that one includes Windows, x64, and then there's defines.h, which I don't know what's in there actually. Like a bunch of basic types like int32 and all of that. So this is kind of the system include. But if you want it, you can add here a struct Josh stream, let's say. I don't know. Int x and y, I don't know, just something, right? And then it automatically reloads, at least in theory. Maybe not. No, it doesn't automatically reload this one. Hold on, I will just... Yeah, the global one is not reloaded automatically, but I think the individual processes are reloaded automatically. But I'll try to show it. And now if you go to display type and I search for Josh stream, you see then you have your type.
Oh yeah, very cool. Okay.
And that supports pretty much it supports everything. It's like actual C++ that you write there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I can also make like an example one. So there's a project.h for every executable that you have. It uses the name of it. And here you can then do, I don't know, struct another test or something like this. Bool x, whatever. So like this. And I think now it will automatically reload it. Just it should. No, it didn't. Interesting. I don't know. I have a development version also of this many times. I don't know if this is me breaking it, because I was working on this functionality like a while back. So maybe it's not working, but it should work. It should automatically update. For now, I'll just refresh it. It makes sense why it didn't work. I opened the wrong executable, so that's fully on me. Let's try this one. So it doesn't work here either. I should have tested it beforehand. I'm not sure why it doesn't work.
Yeah, well,
but that's the idea. It will automatically refresh, and you can kind of modify the types, and it will like display the modified one as well. So that's
okay.
That's the idea. Yeah, then I also had an actual demo. So this is just there's spoilers. Hold on. Let me delete the PDB.
While you're doing that, comment about hearing discussion of time travel debug. Is it now available in x64? So the rumors will start here that you're working on it. No.
Yeah, so it's just an idea in my mind essentially, but I just don't have time. I don't like. There's other stuff to work on that is, in my opinion, more important. Like for now, my goals are to get this kind of. I want to get everything much more stable. So my tasks are very boring. It's like create a test framework to automatically make sure that certain APIs are working in the way they should. Because this has been something, there's just no automated testing at all. I didn't even know that existed when I started the project. And this is something that, in my opinion, is much more important than adding time travel debugging, because it also allows me as a maintainer to be confident that when someone changes some internal detail about how the debugger steps around in the code or whatever, then I know that it still works, because that's, I want to keep things stable. But if you're interested in implementing time travel debugging support, that is, you're welcome to help. Yeah, you can join the Discord, and we can. I will definitely help implement it. So yeah, and also I think so. There is tracing build that I can also record. I can show that later too. Actually, that is part of this demo. So there is kind of time travel debugging on a function level, let's say, inside of x64 debug, but it cannot. It's very slow. The tracing is very slow. It's like 3,000 instructions per second or whatever. So you cannot, you cannot do the whole malware with that, right? And you can just do a small portion of code, but it's still useful for that, I think.
So you got a shout out for your Total Commander usage as well.
Total Commander is the best tool ever made. I should give him more money, but I already paid him twice for it, or 3 times. I think I also bought a license from my dad. It's it's one of the best tools ever created, in my opinion. But whatever, that's some boomer talk. I've been using it since I'm 8 years old. Okay, so now I have the types example. So this is kind of the test case to show something kind of that maybe you would encounter in the wild, have encountered in the wild. So yeah, this is just a simple executable. I'll just run it first to show what it does. It just says hello world, right? A message box, a little bit funny one, but that's it. So it's a very simple executable. And then I did a little like obfuscation. I mean, import obfuscation, let's call it. So if you run this in the debugger, then you'll see here in the bottom, or in the log, maybe it'll be more readable, that there is basically an illegal instruction exception. And you can see that it executes a UD2 instruction. But then when you run it again, oops, spoilers again, then it runs the message box A function. So it kind of, it uses like exceptions to like redirect the control flow, and then inside of the exception handler, it changes the RIP based on like some register. And this is a pretty common technique with malware, so I just implemented like a super simple edition of this. And yeah, what we want to do is we want to figure out like what is happening. So then one of the things you can do is you get this exception, and then if you do a single step, so I'll do the button here, but if you step into when an exception happens, it will breakpoint automatically for you at KI user exception dispatcher. So I have a whole lecture about this on YouTube that you can check out if you want more details, but essentially this is how the exception handling works in user mode. So the kernel sees the exception, and then it will give control back via this exception dispatcher function. So yeah, then we can use the tracing just as a little example. And as a condition, we will use mod.isUser of the rib of the instruction pointer. So this condition, hold up, I will open the calculator. I don't know if this is readable. Is
try zooming in.
I cannot zoom on this, unfortunately.
No, I can.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Yeah, it's experimental. So when my audio drops and it starts streaming,
this time I'm prepared to carry the string.
Yeah. And the DPRK interjects a Kim Jong-un broadcast. You'll know what happened.
Yes. So you zoomed in on the calculator, right?
Yeah. It's still maybe not the most legible, but it's better than it was. Yeah.
I mean, the idea is that this is a function that returns 1 if the instruction point or the address you pass to it is a user module. Okay. So you also have isSystem. So that returns 1 right now because NTDLL, right, where we are right now, that is a system module. So this is just a shorthand to basically isUser is a shorthand to figure out, are we currently in a user module or a system one? So we use that, and I will also point to the documentation. So there is a whole documentation page here in expression functions. You have like a lot of different functions that you can use that are kind of useful for conditional breakpoints as well. But I don't have a demo for that. But yeah, you can check out the documentation. There's a lot.
I could contribute one. Is time for coffee always returns true?
Always returns true. Except at night, then it shouldn't, right?
It shouldn't, but it will still return true.
Yeah, and actually, you can also, without changing x64 debug, you can also make a plugin that will introduce your own check. So if you, I don't know, have a more advanced check that needs to do a bunch of dereferencing of memory and stuff like that, then you can also write a plugin that basically gets control when that function is being evaluated. So but whatever. You can also find that in the documentation. So what we're doing is we're using as a break condition for the tracing. We want to stop the trace once we reach a user module. That's the condition. And then we want to check this button, the little hidden one, record trace. So that's the time travel debugging button. And if you press OK, then it will prompt you where to save this .trace64 file. And this file contains essentially all of the registers. Oh yeah, we'll move this in the middle. It contains like all of the registers at every step that was traced. So you can use this also for some analysis.
Oh, sure, yep.
There's a Python library available that you can use to like read it and all of that. But again, I just want to tell you that this is very slow. So it does like 3,000 instructions per second. In this case, there's only 112 steps. So it's pretty quick. But you could use this, for example, like to, I don't know, trace through a function and then break when certain value appears in a register or something like that. There are different use cases for it.
Yeah.
So what we have now here, it's in the trace tab, you have the actual time travel debugging trace, kind of. And there you see for every step, so you have it's like very zoomed right now because of the font, but normally you would be able to see everything. You can see all of the registers at every step, and you can also see the memory that happens. So apparently at this stack location, the memory changed from 680066 to FE, whatever. So you can see kind of every step what is happening. And this also has a bunch of features that you can, for example, search for all calls. That's kind of a useful feature. So then you can see all of the APIs that were called. So yeah, and here we can see that we started out in the KI user exception dispatcher, and then we were tracing, and then at some point we reached the exception handler because that's the user mode code that we will hit, right? Mm-hmm. And you can also see that here, that these were the APIs that were actually called in that process. So that's kind of, it can be helpful. It's just, again, the limitation is that you cannot do this for millions of instructions because those just take hours. And it's usually there's a better way if you need to reach for that. If you feel that you need to do that, then there's a better way.
Yeah, so I haven't used that before in x64 debug, so I definitely have to check it out because it seems like the tracing I do in WinDebug is not quite as easy. It seems like it's a lot more useful.
Yeah, it's definitely, it can be helpful for some stuff. Why the context menu in tree mode is different? G. I'm afraid I don't understand this question. You mean this one? The context menu, this menu in tree mode. Oh, in the graph mode. Okay, I can go over that, but that's a kind of a different topic. I wanna stay on this for now. But yeah. So yeah, this was just like a quick way to go to the exception handler. There are also different methods. So there is also an ex handlers command that you can use here, for which you need to load symbols, but I can do that real quick. So here, that's another command, like ex handler shows all the registered exception handlers. And then we can see here that there is a vectored exception handler in types example, and then at this address, basically. So if you go there, we can see that that is actually the address that we also reached with the trace. So there are different ways to basically reach the same. But if you use the SEH exceptions, then those won't show up, for example. So then you would do this tracing. All right, so now we will get into the actual interesting stuff, let's say. So here we have the exception handler function, which is, you can see it's quite small. So we could reverse engineer it, and here we can kind of guess that, okay, here's the C001D, which apparently its state is illegal instruction. So we can already figure out that, okay, that's something is happening. But I wanted to show, the types view, right? So if we follow the RCX, that's the first argument. If we follow that in the dump, we just see a bunch of pointers. So it's not very useful. And then what you can do here, we can set the address to the RCX. And now you could go over every type, but we can, for example, we think it might be the context, and maybe no, it isn't. You can click this type, and if you have entered an address here, you can preview the contents. So if I applied this type to this address, it would look like this. And here you can see that it's gibberish, right? Because the debug registers are all wrong. So that's that's not the one. I think the actual type is exception pointers. And here we can see 2 pointers, okay? And then if you actually go into the context record, you can see here that REX was set to 1. Those are 0 as they should be. So this looks like more legitimate, and actually this is also the correct type. This I wanted to show that you can kind of dynamically see, hey, is this the right type for this address pretty easily? Yeah. And then you can press OK. And you see the actual structure here. So the exception code is C1D, which is, that makes sense. That's the illegal instruction exception. And now if you actually step through the code a little bit, so here we load the context from, the exception record from that first argument. And now in RDX, we can see RDX, yes, and then I have to do a bit of.
Oh, here I can move us. Here you go.
Yes.
Move it back.
Yes. So here you can see that RDX actually is the exception pointers, exception record dot exception code, right? So that's kind of the useful thing, that you can see what it is that is being dereferenced right now. And also, if you step one more time, also here when you're in the compare, right, where we compare this RDX memory at RDX with the code, then you also see that. You can see that RDX, which is this address, which corresponds to the exception code, is equal to C001D. That's kind of the useful thing. And then when you step a little bit, then you can also see here that RCX points now to the context. And you can see that okay, it's looking at RAX right now. So that's kind of, much more useful than you can manually convert the offsets, which is going to be a lot of work. But this is definitely much easier, right?
Yeah, that's way easier. Unless I'm missing something, and this has been a phenomenon throughout my career. Like I use something, and then but I never realize it has a capability or feature. Like all of this in WinDebug is generally quite manual, or at least it's a lot more interactive. You have to spend a little bit more time punching commands or clicking on structure member, kind of the markup language that WinDebug offers. So this looks really helpful.
Yeah. I think WinDebug has a similar-ish feature where you have a watch view, and right now the types are not integrated into the x64 debug watch view, but you can basically add a watch to and then you put the type on the right-hand side and RCX on the left, and then you can also kind of see it, but it's not.
Okay.
It doesn't show you this, I think. As far I don't use WinDebug a lot myself, just for kernel debugging and crash dumps basically. So yeah. Anyway, here you can kind of see that, okay, it's reading RAX. Okay, makes sense. It compares it with whatever. And then it loads some address here into R8. So if we go there in the dump real quick, and then we show it as address, you can see that here is like a table of functions. So there is just get proc address, message box A, and exit process, basically. So yeah, then we can figure out that, hey, RAX contained the index into the table, and then it will probably now try to move message box A into the RAP of the context, right? So if you step a little more, then you can see here that when it tries to assign to the context, we see that, okay, it's actually assigning in RIP, the RAP. And it overrides the one at C5, which, let's see if I can copy this. Right. So if we go here to this address that was in RIP before, we can see that is actually the UD2 instruction. So that's the one that crashed the process. So yeah, it copies that the message box A into the RIP, and then it returns here, and then it will eventually reach message box A. So we can set a breakpoint on there, and then if we run, you can see that, okay, it reached that.
Bazinga.
Thing.
There it is.
Bazinga, yeah. So yeah, and then it displays hello world. That's just kind of I don't know. It's always difficult to think of examples. So if you guys use it, then let me know how you used it, because this is just the kind of easy thing that came up in my mind, kind of to show this is what I used it for example, like semi-recently. So
yeah, no, I think that's a great example. And it's interesting. I mean, exception handlers, I was just thinking about that earlier this week. In fact, I have a very sophisticated process of notepads that I write ideas down. And one of the things I wanted to do is, like, I still don't feel like I have a solid grasp on Windows exception handling. Maybe nobody does. I don't know. I certainly don't. And that's why I wanted to go digging into it and maybe make some videos, because for me, making videos is a way to make concrete the things that I really want to understand and sort of eternalize it in some way. So it's great, because I was kind of interested in this area, reinterested in this area before.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned exceptions, but I have this video where I did a lecture about how Windows user mode works, essentially from start of the process to, I think exceptions are also covered. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, check it out. I mean,
yeah, you mentioned that, so I was gonna bug you for the link or go look on your channel.
It's lecture.
You said on YouTube?
Mr. Exerted, yeah, I have a short link to it. Then I hear myself speak. That's always unfortunate. Yeah,
it takes a lot of getting used to, doesn't it?
Yes. At the very beginning, it was absolutely awful, and now it's just still awful, but bearable, I suppose.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. When the first time I started, editing my own videos, do I really sound like that? Oh my gosh. Well, there's AI now, so I could just write a script and maybe have an AI voice.
Yes.
Dub over it. Yeah, definitely check it out. Awesome. Okay, well, let's see.
I have another. What's
I
that?
guess the question was about G in graph mode.
Yeah. So I understood the question. I just wanted to cover something else.
Yeah. Okay. Type system, huge upgrade. Yeah, it looks awesome. I use handles for that.
Handles. There's a handles tab also, maybe that's meant. But so what was meant with the context menu in the tree view, that's the graph view. So that x64dbg has that. I don't know if people know about it, but essentially here you can select a function and then press A to analyze it, to analyze like a single function, and it's all by hand. But then you have analyze the function boundaries, and you can also see that it gives you the nice little indicators. Also loops are analyzed and stuff like that. And then you can press G to go into the graph mode. And this is the worst example because there's no control flow. But here's the actual exception handler. So you can press G to go to the graph mode. And here you can also debug. So it shows you the registers, and you can step here and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the context menu is different, and that's true because the context menu is not yet fully common. So there are a bunch of common actions. So for example, I think this breakpoint menu is like a common menu that's in the code base exposed to everywhere, but the other menus are basically by hand. So not everything is there in this context menu because it's a lot of work. To copy that and those, it's difficult. A lot of the code is very entangled. So this context menu for the disassembly is actually a completely different. It's fully hard coded with callbacks that are using the address from the disassembler, so that needs to be properly done. But that's the reason that they are different. But usually, if you want the context menu, if you miss something here, you can open an issue, obviously, or you can just press G again and then do it here. It's the same. There's no real difference. So yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Yeah.
And that's another very common question by Levon, that why when you scroll sometimes commands are changing. And I actually wanted to write a blog post about this at some point because it's such a common question. I think in the FAQ, it's even in the FAQ.
Okay.
But the reason is that there is no way because x64dbg doesn't analyze the whole program like IDA or Binary Ninja or Python,
right?
So it doesn't have a concept of this is a function, this is an instruction, this is data. So I think the easiest example is if you set this to E8, right? Yeah. So then here you can see that the E8 instruction, it's like a call, and it kind of depends where in the stream of the disassembly you look. So here you can see that this 48, that's part of the actual start of the function, and before that there's this E8, but now it's kind of part of in the disassembly, it looks like the beginning of the function is part of this instruction, which is, it just goes from the top and then it disassembles down. And that is true in a sense that if it would execute one instruction at a time, then it would not be this 48, would not be like a move, but it would be a call because that's how x86 works. There are multiple different ways, like lengths of instructions, right? If this happens to you, what you can do, so I will actually go to I think if I go here to the start of so now I had marked by hand, right? So now I went to the beginning of the function, but basically manually, I can copy the address and then go there, and then it'll display correctly because it starts here. So then it works. But if I do one scroll up with the mouse wheel, right, press this little button, then you can see that the 48 is still selected, but now there's this E8 at the beginning.
Yeah, sure.
And what you can do is you can, here there's this option, analysis, treat from selection as byte, or B for short, that's the hotkey that I always use. And you can say that 4 bytes here are actually bytes and not code. And then you basically manually tell x64dbg that these are bytes and not instructions. And then you can kind of fix it. But there's just no way to, if I start disassembling here, there's no way for me to know that this is not an instruction, right? Because there's just no, without further analysis, there's no way to do that. So that's why it works like this.
Yeah, it's just a linear pass, and and then there's just I suppose just a window of how many bytes you're willing to go. So
yes, and actually it's quite a rabbit hole because when you think about it, how then can you scroll up, right? Because that works correctly, right? You can scroll up and it doesn't misalign the disassembly, but in practice, right, it could, you see. just if I go 1 byte at a time. So actually, there is like a whole algorithm that like this like takes a kind of backwards chunk of it, and then it disassembles like a bunch of different ways, and it picks the one that is the best. But it's only heuristic. It's like there's no way to do it perfectly without basically analyzing it. So this is kind of an analysis. It says this is a byte, and that's then saved in the database. So that's how it kind of works.
That's an interesting problem. You take a lot of that for granted when you use tools like this, and I figure that at the time the instruction is sitting in front of IP, then that's got to be valid. Yes. So at least you have the truth data eventually. But
the CPU also doesn't know, right? That's also the kind of this other insight that the CPU has no idea. It just executes whatever's there, and if you set the RIP to this thing, it will try to do a call. I mean, it doesn't know. So yeah.
Well, cool. We have we're a little over an hour.
Yes, I have much more. I have a bunch more if you're interested. Up to you.
Well, yeah, sure. It's up to you.
Okay, yeah, then I have more.
We can go more. Let's see. Looks like we'll start to see some viewers drop, just because I think that hour mark tends to be a critical threshold. But yeah, if you maybe we go another demo or topic or something, and then
yes, I have that,
and then call it good.
I can.
I'm terrible. What I should be doing is writing down.
I have
like the timestamps of what we talk about. I've gotten really lazy with that lately. I'm just assuming that YouTube is going to solve all of my chaptering and indexing of the stream.
AI generation stuff.
Yeah.
So I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, and a bonus topic. So I don't know. We can do a vote, I suppose. 3 and a bonus topic.
Okay.
So yeah, we could. I don't know if you can do a vote. I don't know how that works.
That's a good question. I don't know if I've done it before. Let's see. Start a Q&A. Start a poll. I can do that on YouTube. So
okay. So we can talk about the cross. I can do the demo of the cross-platform tools, which is pretty quick. That's one option. There are 2 tools. Then there is a little demo with scripting, which
scripting. Okay.
Then I have another demo with the types, but with a different language as the backend. So there's also, you can do it with C, but you can also do it with like the language from the IMX editor. That's also kind of interesting. And then I have some MCP stuff, but that was more the bonus in case we ran out of topics, but I don't think we need to cover that.
Okay, yeah, let's just do so cross-platform demo scripting or different types with different language. Let's see if this works. Someone's saying
spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel website. Okay, I don't know how this is going to look, but what should we do next? Let's start the poll. All right, I think the poll's going. I haven't done this before either, so demo scripting 100% right now. So yeah, if you're on the stream and you're on YouTube, if you're not on YouTube, go to YouTube. You can add your thoughts on the poll. These are heavily every vote is heavily shifting the distribution here, but looks like scripting is so far in the lead.
All right,
we'll give this another 30 seconds or so and see how it ends up.
Yeah. Show all. Yeah, I can also show all. I have nothing to do right now, so it's
yeah. I will have small humans coming in.
Yeah, that's another one.
And then I'll have to I have to do some shuffling of kids sooner rather than later.
We can also do another stream. Yeah, there's also Matt who made the plugin for the C#, plugin to write plugins in C#, which is extremely cool. But I don't have anything prepared for it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's while you're waiting for the poll, I can kind of Google that. So it's called .x64dbg for .NET, and it's actually really cool how it works, because you can just edit the C# file in Visual Studio, and then as soon as you save it, the updated plugin gets loaded in x64dbg, like it gets reloaded automatically, and it's like a really good, really cool project. It's just doesn't have enough users, I suppose.
Yeah, that's
the
awesome.
issue with
Dot x64 is the
dot x64 debug. Yeah. DOT and not a period.
yeah.
Yeah, no, this is a really cool plugin. And this also allows you to write your own commands and your own. It supports essentially the whole plugin API. It's
Okay.
a really good project.
All right. So yeah, definitely they want more streams from you. And let's see. Looks like I'd say we're done. Nobody's put anything in on the votes for a few seconds now, at least anyway. So it looks like scripting. Scripting is the winner.
All right. Yeah. So this. By the way, I don't have the coolest example ever, but I have an example.
Okay.
That also it's also meant here. So you have to. I think if you start a new version of the x64 debug, so you can download it, then you will see this little pop up with the release notes. And that's something that I'll be doing also in the future, where it will kind of tell you what actually changed. Because this is also feedback I got from people that they're like, yeah, cool, there's snapshot 2024.8.8. What happened, right? So yeah, this is like actual release notes. And I will like link blog post there, some stuff that's relevant. I might link .x64 debug there as well. So yeah, this definitely keep an eye out for that. And if you close it, then you can always reopen it from the help menu. It's kind of I spent so much fucking time on this. It's actually insane. But that's the point. So there's an example in there with the scripting. So basically, the scripting got rewritten, so it should be much more stable now. I guess we'll see now that we talk about it. But this is an example, something that's actually pretty common for what people want, at least in my experience, and also people told me about it, is that you want to set some breakpoints, and then you want to do some logging at those breakpoints, or you want to do some custom actions. So what you can do is just set a breakpoint that, I don't know, RTL allocate heap. That's always a fun one that pretty much crashes everything. So you can set the breakpoint, then you can do editing, and then you can set the break conditions or whatever. Maybe if you open a file, you can have a condition that says only this file name you can break. And then you also have a log text where you can then log the file. So I don't have this prepared right now, but so right now I'm at the system breakpoint, and you can see that inside of RBX there is a string, loader p initialize process. So what you can do is you can test the logging with the log command, and then you can type test : and then you can use the little brackets, and you can do a UTF-8 string at RBX, let's say, and then it will basically like read that string and print you that string on the log. So you can do that with like breakpoints, let's say on the socket calls or whatever. When you have a connect, you can print the IP address or stuff like that.
Sure.
So it's a pretty useful feature, but this is kind of limited because you cannot really. Well, you can do a lot. You can do a lot of semicolons and do a bunch of. You can log a lot in it, but you cannot really do like stepping around or like more complicated calculations of what you want to log. It gets a bit tricky. So what I fixed that already existed but fixed is that here's a little script that sets a breakpoint at enter critical section, and then it sets a breakpoint command, and the command will be script command call analyze. So yeah, it's a bunch of gibberish, but I'll hopefully explain it. So yeah, here you can see that the command is actually script command, and then it calls the analyze script function. And that function is defined here. So what it does is it gets the spin count from there, from the pointer to, there's like a pointer to the critical section inside of as the first argument of the function. And it will get the spin count, which is some internal data member, and it will then you do the log command, and it will also do the display type command. So it will also display that argument as a type inside of the struct view that we talked about before. That's kind of just as a demo to show that you can do something, a little more advanced. And the script kind of finished running, but you have to keep it open, and then if you can do call, analyze, and you can have different labels with different functionality, whatever you want, essentially. So now if I'll run it, see they may have a breakpoint at RTL enter critical section, and the script already executed. So it logged that spin count, whatever that is. I actually no idea.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then it also displays you the data. So the debug info pointer is not set, but then you can see the log count is -1. And if you also set it on leave critical section, we can also set a little breakpoint with the command script command call analyze. And then let me clear this. Oops, that was a bit too much clearing. Critical section. Yeah, so here now you can see that the log count is -2, which means it has an owner. So you can kind of then go back and forth, and you can inspect the data like that and do some logging. And you can also do like stepping. Maybe you want to step 3 times at the beginning of the function, then change the register. You can kind of do that type of automation like that.
Oh yeah, okay.
Which,
really cool. And yeah, that was the script window, right? You were working out of
yes,
the script tab.
Yeah,
oh,
and so the commands here, like how it works, very briefly, is like it just executes one command at a time. And if it reaches a command that does some kind of debug action, like stepping or running or whatever, then it will like pause, like it will pause the script there until it pauses the debugger. So that way you can do like step, 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 change the register, I don't know, run, and yeah, whatever. And the commands, they're all documented, but it's kind of, you kind of have to figure it out from the examples. But there's a lot. Like you have a lot of arithmetic commands. Then you have a bunch of trace. You can also start traces. You can do all kinds of stuff. And again, you can also write plugins in C# or in C++ that you can make your own commands to do different stuff. So it's kind of meant to be extensible. So yeah, that's one of the ways to. This is just the built-in scripting. The reason I changed this was because you can also like pass one of these scripts on the command line. So then you can say that, okay, I want to start this process and then do a bunch of automation to unpack it, or I don't know, whatever you want to do. And that kind of got stabilized. So it should be much more usable. But you can also use Python for this or C#. There's like a lot of different options. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. So let's see. Someone needs a job. Okay.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think maybe we are, for time reasons, getting close to the end. I guess anything else you want to cover? Do you get calling it? And I think there's a lot here. I'd love to do some follow-up stuff.
Yeah, we can for sure. We can just do another stream and then do the rest. And like, I don't know, if people have questions, feel free to send them to Josh or in the x64dbg Discord or whatever, and we can collect them and then answer them. Let's say, I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. If you're catching the recording here and you've made it this long, congratulations. I mean, it's one of those things though. It's easy to get engrossed in something when you're really learning and engaged. But yeah, if you have questions, don't hesitate to drop them now. Although we're probably close to the end here, or if you're catching the recording, and if I can't help, maybe just go right to the x64dbg Discord. You can find a link to that, I think, off the x64dbg website. And x64dbg is a pretty unique string, so if you search for that, you'll find it.
Yes.
I had to look up a word the other day that was it made me feel old because it was just a different way of saying big, but it has a double meaning, and the other meaning is a sexual act. And that's the predominant search result. And I thought, oh, okay. I guess this is a double-edged sword in terms of the usage of this word. But yeah, x64, I don't think you're going to come across anything too risky. Let's see. Yeah, so definitely we'll talk about doing another stream. We'll figure it out. We'll talk about features. I think .x64dbg would be awesome if that's something that you or maybe the creator of that plugin would like to do. But we can chat about that offline. Yes, thanks everyone for coming. Follow-up streams, we're working on it. But thanks everyone for showing up. Really great turnout today as far as streams go for me. So really appreciate that. Let's see. Duncan, anything else? Any last thoughts, words, places?
No. Come check it out. I mean, get the latest version and try out the stuff that you see in the release notes, and join the Discord. It's discord.x64dbg.com. very easy to remember. There's also other channels like Slack and IRC, I think, even is still still supported, but Discord is the main place. So yeah, come and join and come and chat. And if you're interested in contributing but you don't know where to start, just feel free to drop me a message, or again in the x64dbg Discord, we have a development channel specifically for that. So yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, George. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate your time and all the effort you've put into the tool, and the fact that we've got a chance now to chat twice. Even though beginning of the year, I don't think we knew each other. So this is really that's a fun way to do it. Get to know each other in front of a live stream audience. So that's really awesome. Yeah, definitely look for future live streams with Duncan. And I guess with that, it looks like there are no questions. I know there's a little bit of a delay here, so I always drag out the disconnect a little bit just to make sure that everybody knows we're going to be dropping soon in case they have any last minute questions. But it looks like we're pretty good here. So with that, I think I'll hit the end. So thanks again, Duncan.
Yeah, thanks. Ciao, ciao.